Oh, what's good, my menace society? It is your host with the most, Shadow Look, back at you with another video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free. That is how you hear my channel get into the algorithm. Highly appreciate if you go ahead and do that. Now, what we wanted to get into was actually the topic of Richard Chase. Now, it's to no one's surprise that California is home to gangbanging capital. Home to all kinds of different gangs from Cribs, Bloods, Norteños, Sureños, whites, Asians, and everything in between. And it's full of a lot of crime. That is very true, right? California is dangerous. California. Now, California is also home to a vast number of individuals that were serial killers, right? I think there's been a total of like more than 146 serial killers in California's history, right? And one of the most disturbing ones is Richard Chase, the vampire of Sacramento, as he was called. Now, why was he a disturbing case? Well, Richard Chase doesn't have a body count like let's say Ted Bundy or John Gacy, right? But his crimes would leave anybody speechless, right? He killed 6 people, but not only did he kill 6 people, right? He dismembered them, he mutilated them, he ate them, he drank their blood, right? And he slept with the dead bodies. He had sex with the dead bodies, necrophiliac. So this individual was a very disturbed, deranged individual, especially with one of his victims who was a pregnant woman. She was running errands. She went back home. He broke into the pad with a butcher knife and stabbed her and took out her intestines, her liver, her kidneys. He took out everything, and she was pregnant, so he took out the unborn child as well. Drank the blood, ate some of the body parts, and had sex with the corpse, even though it was all mutilated already. So this individual was very, very sick. Very sick. By far one of the most gruesome individuals that I have, read upon. I know that there's a lot of serial killers that are twisted. Yeah, this guy is definitely up there, bro. Definitely up there. He suffered from schizophrenia, right? He heard voices, since he was a small child. His parents really didn't know how to deal with the situation, right? So he was mistreated, right? He was seen as an oddball since he was small. As a matter of fact, he wasn't even allowed inside the house because his sisters were afraid of him because of what he used to do to the pets, the cats and the dogs. He used to tear them apart. So they were scared of him, so the mom wouldn't let him inside the house. So you can imagine, him suffering from hearing voices and not really knowing what's going on. And now the mistreatment and the dysfunction of his family and the way his mother treats him, right? And pretty much, he's not even allowed inside the house, not even for Christmas. So that's fucked up, I get it. He was a deranged individual, but this is before he became a serial killer. So if they would have sought help, the individual probably could have turned out better, but, the mother decided to go with this plan instead, right? But it was the 1970s, so times were a little bit different, right? I don't think there was even that much that they could do, but at least they could have tried something, right? But because they chose to neglect the problem, because they chose to brush it off, the problem got worse, a lot worse, right? But his murder spree only lasted a year, 6 victims in 1 year, because he was very dysfunctional, right? He wouldn't even clean up the murder scene. He wouldn't even clean up himself. He would just be walking like that, and he killed roughly around where he lived, right? So it didn't take long before, law enforcement, apprehended him and, found out, the true depth of the deranged and sick, twisted mind of Richard Chase. So California has brewed some very, very disturbing individuals. I don't know if you guys are aware of it. There's books, there's documentaries. You guys could go read up if you guys are interested in cases like this of serial killers. This is definitely one that you might want to, look into. The Vampire of Sacramento. He had Sacramento in fear, bro. Something that not even these gangs could do. This guy, had everybody terrified because his crimes were fucking horrendous, bro. Um, but yeah, it goes down in California, bro. It's crazy. But if you guys want, look into it. Do you guys know about this? Have you guys heard about this? Let me know in the comments. Shadow, we out.